I asked Denise what type of chocolate she would like today, and she suitingly said nuts.
Absolutely. Who doesn't love nuts?
Is swinging the most honest form of monogamy?
Yes, I would say so. I would have said once upon a time I would have classed myself as ethically non-monogamous. However, I recently read something that said it would be better to say consensually non-monogamous, because that implies that you're not ethical if you're monogamous. Yeah, I'm liking that one at the moment.
What's the wildest thing you've ever done?
If I was to say to you as someone that's not been in that environment, oh, okay, well, I've been in an orgy with, I don't know, 20 of my friends, that might be wild to you. But I could speak to another of my friends and they'd be like, yeah, that was just last weekend.
Situation, a thing you've done, you've even looked back and gone, okay, that was something.
For me, it would be probably having sex with one of my friends in a pool of jelly at a festival with about a few hundred people watching. It was more difficult than you'd think, because jelly is going everywhere. I was playing with, he was going down on me and spitting jelly up in a fountain, and it was going in my face, and it was ridiculous and hilarious. And yeah, that's got to be up there of experiences. I don't know if I could replicate that, to be honest.
Do people fall in love in swinging, or is it strictly off the table?
People are people. People are always going to fall in love and develop emotions even without the intention of those things happening. Okay. That's a risk that you take when you have an interaction with anybody. You can go to work and never get naked with someone and get feelings for someone that sits at the desk next to you. That's human nature. It's a risk you take, but you need to communicate that with your partner, and you can put certain things in place to eliminate that situation happening.
Humans are always going to fuck.
They are always going to fuck, and they're always going to fall in love as well. So these things are going to happen.
What's your biggest vice when you're getting down and dirty?
Taking things too seriously. People that are there and it's just there's not much conversation or there's not much interaction. If somebody's just doing the job, that's probably what puts me off a little bit. Have sex, things go wrong, things make noises, people fall over, queefing happens, people fall off of beds, things get wet and silly, and that's my favourite kind of play. But if it's very quiet and you're just going through the motions, that's a bit of an ick for me, I think.
Mind, body, soul, humour, just be present.
Yes. Absolutely. My answers were rubbish.
Yum.
Did you say yes?
I said yum.
Oh, I thought you said. I was going to say.
I'm not that honest.
No, that's what made me laugh.
I actually really do like honest people. I like very bluntly, unapologetically.
That's quite me.
Yeah.
It gets me in trouble at times. It does get me in trouble at times. Say things and think, right, okay, I'm going to have to style it out with a smile because I'm quite sarcastic.
So, Denise, welcome to Sexonomic.
Thank you.
I have been so interested in having a swinger on the show for the longest time, because right now in my own personal life I cannot fathom the idea of having someone else's penis in my mouth. I'm just going through a spell, I'm going through a phase, and I have to be okay with it. But on the other end, what seems to be taking off more than ever now is swinging. It's growing, this movement. And I wanted to speak to someone who's got the boots on the ground, they're in the scene, they know what's happening, and understand how I can be over here not ever wanting to see another penis again. And people are just having their times of their life with loads of penises and vaginas. Yes. So how did you get into it?
It started, it's a tricky one. So personally, I started as a single on an app. Am I allowed to name things? Right. So I started on an app called Field back in the days when it was called Frinder, before they got sued for that. Probably can't say that, but that happened. And met I'm bisexual, so I'd been married to a man, and it was a monogamous relationship, so I was quite keen to get back into exploring that, because it's, as a very bisexual woman in a monogamous marriage to a man, but things are missing. Things are missing. So I was quite keen to get back into those adventures, and got talking to a lovely couple, had a few video calls with them. It was very enlightening to me, because the woman was very much in charge, and she was the one that was deciding who they met, deciding how it was going to go. And I didn't expect it to be like that. I always thought it was going to be more the man wants to see his wife with another woman because that's sexy. But
we're told that's what's sexy. Right.
I think that's what I think a lot of people that come into it, like women, man couples, come into the scene because the man is like, oh, I'd really like to see you doing that one day. That's probably something that gives me a bit of an ick, to be fair.
So before you got on field and you were exploring, what had been your first introduction to sex? What had that been like in the lead up to you, I suppose, opening it up to field, then eventually into swinging?
I've always been quite okay with being a sexual person, and I've always been quite open with my sexuality. I've had relationships with women, long-term relationships with women, long-term relationships with men. I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of. I think as long as it's consensual and everyone's safe and everyone's happy, I don't think there's any problem with being a sexual person, and there shouldn't be any judgment in that.
You've always had quite an open nature.
I have, and I don't know where it comes from because my mum's a real prude, so I'm not sure where this upbringing came from.
Do you think we're just born like that? You know, or is it exposure to different things? Is it nature or nurture? Or is it that we're born this way and then the different journeys and avenues we take unlock these different parts of ourselves that were always there to be discovered? I
think so. I think it's just down to how you're brought up or circumstances. I mean, I went to an all-girls school, and I think maybe things started
that's
there.
not going to make you gay.
I'm a walking cliche.
But isn't it so funny that people always send their sons to an all-boys school, their girls to an all-girls school, and it's often from these really religious Catholic parents who are not really into gay people, and they're like, oh, we'll send them to a strict school full of boys. That's going to work, is it?
This is hundreds and hundreds of years of this happening. You think somebody might have clocked that people are going to get hormonal and horny as teenagers and do what they need to do, aren't they?
You have to look in the rugby showers of rugby boys to know that.
Well, it's all fine.
You kind of got into the community, but what I'm also interested to know is, how do swingers view monogamy? You know, is it viewed as something outdated, unrealistic, or just a simplistic preference?
I think it's just a preference. I mean, it would be...
Sorry.
I nearly just opened my mouth for that then. Now I've got a mouth full of nuts. I thought you were going to throw it at me then.
Well, your Instagram name is what?
Exactly this.
Good manners.
My Instagram name is a bit of a mouthful, D.
There we go. But back to do you think it's a preference, a choice, or outdated?
I think it's all well and good. I think if people actually open their mind to it and were questioned it a little bit harder, I don't think it would be everybody's preference if they really thought it through, because there's very many different versions of swinging. You don't have to be having sex with people to be a swinger, in my opinion. You could enjoy going with your partner. You could never play with anybody else. Go with your partner, enjoy putting on a show, enjoy watching other people. Being
a bit voyeuristic.
Yeah. There's many different ways you can be in that community without partners, because swinging is classed as partner swapping in its traditional sense. It's a man and a woman swapping with a man and a woman, but that's not what it is, in my opinion.
Well, if we look at a bit of history to do with swinging, the term comes from 18th to 19th century psychiatry, where women's sexuality in particular was a bit more poorly understood and often pathologized. You know, often when women were probably upset or angry about something, it's classed as hysteria.
Yeah, I was going to say it's hysteria, isn't it? Well, we can thank hysteria for vibrators being invented, can't we? So
yeah,
because a bowl of cornflakes wasn't going to cut it.
The idea is that they invented the vibrator to treats hysteria, which is just women being angry or upset.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like me after a couple of days of not having sex.
Or a vibrator.
Yeah, exactly.
So it does have very long ties to humanity and people getting up to swinging. You've got early tribal societies who practice partner swapping as part of fertility rituals and common bonding. Ancient Mesopotamia and Greece did communal sex, featured in religious and fertility festivals. And then a more modern version began in the 1940s with the American Air Force, with pilots and their wives who formed a tight-knit group during war times and saw sexual sharing as emotional bonding. Then in the 50s to 60s, it spread into suburban America as wife swapping or key parties, symbolising rebellion against conservative family values. And then finally in the 1970s, in the sexual revolution, wife swapping was branded as swinging, and sociologists began studying it as a social movement rather than a taboo. And then it's obviously shifted and migrated online to apps like Field and Fab Swingers. I've heard a lot about Fab Swingers from the swingers that I do know.
Okay.
What is that website like?
Yeah, it's quite an outdated one.
And it's to find other people who would like to swing.
Oh, yes, or you'd like to meet in any variation. So it's almost similar to a date. It's almost similar to a dating profile. You'd put up your pictures, what you're interested in, your basic details, height, who you are, where you're from, and then you can search for other people that might be local to you. You can search for different events you might want to go to, different clubs, whether you want to have private meets, whether you want to go dogging, do however you choose to meet and see other people. It gets a bit of a bad rep because one, it is very outdated.
It's a website.
It's a website, yeah. It's not an app. I find it does what it says on the tin. I don't mind it personally because we've used it a long time. I'm used to it, and it serves its purpose for me. I don't need it to be like some of the different apps. Like I'm on, there's a few out there. You've got Fab. You have one called Swing Hub as well. Another one called Pineapple,
which is the universal symbol of the swinger.
Yeah, it's all about hospitality. It's got trendy, hasn't it?
Do you like pineapples?
I like them on pizza. That's my controversial comment for you.
You like a pineapple on someone's door?
So for me, it's a bit cliche, to be honest. I mean, if you want,
is it a bit try hard?
Yeah, yeah. In the last couple of years it seems to have got really, really trendy, and like all the normal people will have a little giggle if you see that. I mean, once upon a time it was pampas grass, apparently, wasn't it, in the
Pampas
garden?
What?
You don't know this one. You know pampas grass?
What's pampas grass?
It's like reedy. It's like a reedy plant with a fluffy white top, and if that was planted in your garden, in the front garden,
it's a symbol.
That was a symbol to everybody else in the 70s, 80s, that you were feeling that way.
Well, with swinging, as it's grown in popularity, I mean, you sound a bit of an OG. Not an OG because you weren't there in the 17th century when they were doing it, but
slightly later.
You're very integrated into the community. Do you ever find people are just trying a bit hard in it?
It's very trendy at the moment.
Yeah.
It's very trendy.
Why do you think it's turned into a trend, and what are people trying to extend about their personality and themselves?
Some people were there to be. Some people, it's something to tick off. It's one of those things. Oh, have you ever been to a swingers club? Tick. And it's more about being seen and seeing than actually doing. So
it's a bit more performative.
Yes. Yeah. I think in the last few years, the wider mainstream media is portraying swinging a lot more than it was. So when I started out 5-6 years back, it was really hard to find any information about things unless you really, really knew where to look. Whereas now there are more articles about it. People are putting faces to themselves and talking about it in public. There's more TV shows and things like that.
Like the open house.
Yes, like open house, yeah.
On Channel 4. Obviously, with the popularity rising in swinging, more people coming into the movement.
Yes.
How does everyone interact with jealousy? Because you're seasoned, I guess you have a healthier relationship with maybe the slight niggles of jealousy.
Jealousy of the new couples coming into it?
No, just the jealousy that a new person might feel in swinging. You know, we were all okay on paper, maybe not all, but a lot of us would be okay on paper with our partners doing this and that, and then just seeing it.
There's a difference between talking about it in bed when you're horny and actually stepping through a door and seeing that in your own eyes. And I think there's a lot of the fear of the unknown. Like myself and my husband, we were both really jealous, really insecure people when we first started out. And it came as quite a surprise to me as a woman to see my husband with somebody else. I expected to hate that. My first stepping into this was me playing as a single woman with another couple. And I always thought, okay, I can handle being a third, but I don't know if I'd be comfortable with someone coming into my situation. So I came into them, and luckily for me, the people that I met gave me a really good experience out of the bedroom and in the bedroom, because I could see that they had a really healthy relationship, a really strong communication, and they set me off to thinking, okay, well, maybe this is something I could manage in a relationship.
So I guess it makes you have a more healthy relationship with jealousy.
Yes, I think when you sort of unpick jealousy, a lot of jealousy comes back to your own personal insecurities. And it's very common to think, oh, well, what if they prefer this? What if I'm not good enough? What if I don't look this way? There's a million what ifs, and they're all really quite common. And why I like to talk about this is, if somebody sat at home or watching or listening to this, I want them to know it's really normal to feel these things, and it doesn't last forever. What you need to do is you have to set a boundary of what you find acceptable going into it. But I also think you need to leave it with a little bit of fluidity and forgive and discuss. So you're gonna go and do something, and sometimes things don't go right, but it's how you communicate that with your partner afterwards.
But if we're not meant to be monogamous from a purely biological standpoint, let's not get into the social stuff, then why do we get the emotion of jealousy? It's interesting.
I'm not sure. I think it's, again, down to what if I'm not enough? I'm not feeling those feelings, those emotions of what do we do? We're conditioned that one person has one partner and anything else is cheating. So I think it's the fear of losing yourself or your partner is more of the point to the jealousy, if I had to go into it.
As well, it's the idea of, I guess, in some ways you could say losing a possession.
Yeah. Losing your standing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so interesting that humans think we own things, and things are, the idea of ownership, that this thing, because I bought it or I've been with this person for so long, for all intents and purposes, it belongs to me now. Yeah. But nothing ever really belongs to anyone. It's just the social standing.
We're all just borrowing each other for a little bit, aren't we? That's exactly what it comes to. Maybe I'm going to borrow someone for 10 minutes, or maybe I'm going to borrow them and marry them for 10 years. It's just an exchange of possessions, I guess.
So your fella,
yes,
he is what we'd classify as a toy boy.
Yes.
How did you meet him? And wait, do you say you met him through the swinging app?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No.
So how did you meet this gorgeous toy boy of yours?
So we actually met on Facebook, on a Facebook group, just an adult banter Facebook group. And
I've always heard about people who meet like this online, but it's interesting to hear.
It's a weird one, because it was just just a funny adult group. It wasn't particularly sexual. It was just a friendship group. And I happened to get very friendly with a girl that lived up in Leeds, and I saw Josh, like you'd put pictures up or tell people about your day and stuff like that. I saw a picture of my husband. I thought, oh, okay, I quite fancy him. And I'd posted a picture, so I'd kind of caught his eye. He slid in my inbox with an A up Dal, because he's from Yorkshire, and that's really bad pronunciation.
Yorkie puddings are the nicest people, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I've always had a bit of a thing for a northern bit of rough.
Did you wear a tweed cap?
He didn't. No.
Yeah. What's the age difference between you and him?
14 years.
14 years. Okay. I did 25 years once, never again. That was too much.
I'm thinking you're too young for that not to be older than you.
Just let's not go there. We spoke about it last week. So obviously, like, you connected and you're like, there's this kind of toy boy dynamic, and I might be into this thing and try and get with him. Was he into that lifestyle before, or how did you invite him into that kind of thing?
I think it depends on how I tell the story, because sometimes it's...
Give us the raw version.
So sometimes it's that he suggested it. So we'd been married, I think, about a year, because we got married quite quickly. And we'd been married about a year, and again, it comes into the cliche of he knew that I had experiences with women in the past, and he said, oh, I'd quite like to see that. Blah,
you
blah,
said
blah. And I said, well, I can show you a video or two if you'd like to see that. See what you think first. So he was like, well, I'd really rather be in that experience, because that's past you and that doesn't really feel relevant. So I said, okay, right, fine. And as soon as he'd said it, I had a complete meltdown and cried and rang my friends. Oh, what does this mean? He doesn't love me anymore. And went through all that. And spent then researched the hell out of it. So I say it was his idea. However, I had actually planned to go to a club with one of my male friends a good few years before that. So I kind of let him think it was his idea a little bit. Yeah, I kind of knew a little bit about it already.
So you played dumb?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
Okay. Well, I guess it all became good and you started going to these events together.
Yeah,
you've hosted a few.
We have, yeah.
Give us a scale of like what, because you said before you've been to like how many?
So we've been to, I think up to date, 22 clubs in the UK. We're not currently doing it, but we used to host events at clubs. I think we've done 14 across the country. So we're well experienced with welcoming new people into it. We were very lucky that a lot of people came to our events as their first events, which I love, because if I've played any tiny part in someone's positive journey, that I get a huge amount out of that myself. And we've been very lucky that when we came into the scene, we met some very encouraging, more experienced mentors that set us in a good space. Generations
of swingers.
Yes. Yeah.
That probably do date back years and years and years and years and years. So what's your favourite setup in a swinging situation? Are you quite open to different things? Do you have like a preference, like perfect number, gender balance? What's your feelings?
One of the main things to say is never to go into a club with expectations. Personally, my ideal, if it happens, is I like to play. I like group play. I like public play. I like group play. You wouldn't catch me dancing. You would never see me dancing. I'm far too shy to that. But stick me in the middle of an orgy and I will perform like I've never performed before. That's my favourite space to be.
What do you think that's about, though?
I don't know. I just lose myself. It's very hedonistic. It's a space where I can just lose myself within that without having to think anything. It's just natural and fluid, and everybody's there, and it's just base level sexuality and humanity.
You always get this conversation of type today, don't you? You're my type, you're not my type, I'm into you, I'm not into you. It's very superficial, it's very surface level. But in terms of like an orgy via swinging, you do have to be open to who is in the room, because of course we're allowed to have boundaries and say,
yes,
sorry, I'm not attracted to you.
Yes.
Or I am attracted to you. Can we enjoy this time together? But like, I don't.
How do you get to that? Is that where you're going to?
Where do you stand with it?
Usually for myself, it would be, I would go into a room with a group of people, whether there be like 4, 6, 8 of us or something like that. And I've been quite lucky. It's sometimes quite difficult because, say for instance, I'm interested in 2 couples and I might say to them, well, why don't we all go? There has to be some sort of minor interaction with them. You'd have some conversation about people's boundaries, their do's and don'ts before you go into the space. And then you'd go into a public play and there might be other people playing all around you if you're in an open area.
It's voyeuristic.
Yeah. It tends to be, people wouldn't just naturally get themselves involved unless they've given you a sign. That might be somebody saying, may I touch you? Maybe a light touch to a non-sexual space, like somebody might tap your arm and you can kind of like give them a nod or no thank you, or a slight brush off. It can be very subtle, and then that would be enough.
Have you ever been in a situation where there's someone you're not attracted to and you have to play with them? Not have to, but they're in the group.
Yeah, well, we call that taking one for the team, which is a really bad term. And
is it kind of like a deal? You're not getting this one unless you take this one.
You will have couples that say that you must play with both, but then that's your choice whether you choose to take that into a room if you're not attracted. Nobody should be doing anything they don't want to be doing.
But you have been in that situation.
I have been in that situation.
Yeah.
I think most people would be lying if they said that hasn't happened, because you put 4 people in a room, and for myself, I like men and women. I have to be attracted to both of them to want to be involved with both of them.
Yeah.
And you're never going to get 100% attraction to one and 100% attraction to another. It's not very realistic.
You can learn attraction through experiencing as well.
For me, I learned at the beginning, it would have been, I'd walk into a club and be like, okay, that person's my type, I'm attracted to this person. And I think you very quickly learn, for myself speaking, it's not the person that I walk in and fancy at the beginning of the night from across the room. It's the person that I sit and have a conversation with and I really have a joke and a laugh with them. They're the people that I would like to play with.
So you connect on a more sapiosexual level.
Absolutely. For me, that's how I'd identify. And I've learned that I don't necessarily have a type, because I can see someone that I really, really like and have a conversation with them and it's an instant killer. And then I can see someone, I'm like, oh, okay, I probably wouldn't be interested in you. Have 5 minutes of conversation and I'm absolutely all for that.
So if I was in that situation, I'd just have to be like, I'm a bit busy, sorry.
So what would you do? What do you mean if somebody wanted to speak to you?
When you're already, I guess, playing together in this orgy setup and there's someone trying to get in, I'd just have to be like focus and double down and be like, oh, sorry, I'm busy.
I think there's a lot for non-verbal body communication.
Yeah.
So say for instance, if I was doing something, if I would position myself to turn a back on somebody, or I might, even if I felt somebody would say maybe brush me, I would put my hand back and just gently move them away. And that's always worked for me. And
it usually is when someone wants to integrate themselves into an intimate setting, it's usually like
it would be
that,
not nobody's doing that.
Okay.
Nobody's doing that.
Okay.
Panic not. You look quite panicked even at that question.
You know what? I think it's because I've spent like a lot of my life running away from, how do I say it diplomatically? Like sexual experiences that seem transactional and selfish on the man's behalf. So the idea of swinging, I don't know if it's for me, but I think maybe it's because it seems very confronting to that, this idea of my whole life is sexual life, should I say, has been, you know, men staring at you, men looking at you, men wanting this sexual thing from you and not really wanting to know you. So I actually just think I'm in the unique position of I'm probably someone who just maybe needs a bit more consistency on one person and just to show up and love me kind of thing.
Yeah.
But never say never. You can see me there at the event. You never know, Denise.
Well, I'll put you on the top of the list. I think for me, the swinging scene, the community is, I would thoroughly recommend it to a single woman. This is probably the safest space you're going to be in, as stupid as that sounds. Because the etiquette, people can't touch you. People cannot even casually touch you in that environment without consent, without conversation. Whereas if I was in a busy bar, somebody would touch my bum, or if I was in a club, that would happen. Whereas that doesn't happen on the scene. Women are in charge.
Yeah, and I guess when you are trying to get someone's attention, it's a tap on the shoulder.
Yeah.
It's like a tap on the hip.
Yeah.
You know, even when I was younger and I used to work at bars, something that it would make me feel so uncomfortable, and I'm sure someone will call me a snowflake for it, is I'd always usually work with men behind the bar and I was the one girl.
Yeah.
And when you want to get past someone on a bar and it's quite narrow,
yeah,
guys would get a tap on the shoulder like, oh mate, sorry, can I move past?
Yeah.
But I would always get hands on the waist.
Yeah.
They didn't mean it maliciously. I know they didn't. But why do I get the different thing?
They shouldn't be, should they, really?
No, not really. Clarified, it's not a free-for-all.
No, not at all. That's the first mistake you can make.
No.
And the other people that are on the scene are all... If you were arrived as new, the staff are going to look after you. You'll probably have somebody that would be a regular. They would say, right, okay, I'll show you around. They would talk you through the etiquettes, the rules. And it's a very caring community. People would look out for you. You can always tell when someone's new, and people would look out for your safety as a woman or a man or anybody.
How's your swing dar?
I'd say pretty good.
You can tell if someone's got a bit of swinging energy in them.
I think so.
Okay. Do you think I have any inside of me?
Yes.
You think so? Do you think everyone has a bit of it?
No.
No.
No. No. I think you could be quite curious.
I think you can never rule anything out in life, ever.
I think it's a very empowering space for a female.
I also think like the word empowerment doesn't always have to be like it's empowering. It can be neutral.
Yeah.
It can just be what it is and we can enjoy that.
Yeah.
But you said there's also a massive social element
Yes.
to it. So there's people who I'd imagine show up to an event and they're there to do the sex and that's the kind of thing. But there's also people there who show up for community and...
That's a massively underlooked thing.
Connection, yeah.
That's exactly it. I have, well, for myself as well, majority of my friendship group are on the scene. And I've been out this weekend, and some of us, it's a neutral space. I have friends all over the country because of this. And we'll use that space as a social space, and some of us may choose to play, some of us don't, some of us will just come to see our friends. And it's a safe space where you can talk about whatever you want without being overheard. You can wear what you want or not what you want. And you can have a dance, you can have a drink, you can do all those things in a safe space with your friends, and you don't have to do anything sexual at all. Very strong community.
I'd imagine people in the community, some of it is I've not had a lot of sex in my life and I want to have more sex. And then there's other people who, you know, don't feel free, I guess, in their own life, I suppose. And then they want to go and connect with people
I
who...
think connection is the key to that.
Even with clothing, you know, freedom of expression in your clothing, freedom of expression in the conversations you're having, freedom of expression sexually, you know, those are all things, I guess, when we're outside on the street or in the office or these environments, we're not allowed to express ourselves fully, even if we've removed the sexual component. And that's such an interesting thing that you're creating this space that isn't even just a sexual one. It's one of expression and connection.
Yeah, I completely agree. I always say that I believe a swingers club is quite a levelling place, because
Doesn't matter where you're from, what you do.
know. You do not know. Say some clubs are what we call dress down. So on arrival, you would go up to the changing room and you would dress down into your lingerie or towel or boxers for a man. And so everybody's at that same level immediately. So I could be sat next to you, and you could have all sorts of background, social class background, and we can just connect as two human beings. It doesn't matter where you work, where you're from, how old you are, where you've got to. We're just two people connecting and having a conversation and passing the time of day, and it's very freeing in that way.
Take me through, out of the swinging environment, if you're just seeing someone, you know, socially, on the street, in the office, what kind of thing do you like them to wear? And then when it's time for sex and orgies and swinging, what's the kind of clothes you like them to wear before it comes off?
It's so difficult for a man. It is so difficult for a man. You could have some fancy boxers.
You know what? It's never a man in a shirt with no shorts and just a willy out. It's never that.
People could walk around like that.
I hate that.
They could absolutely walk around like that.
A man in his t-shirt with just his willy out.
That wouldn't be great. But
it's like a grown toddler's on the loose.
Dropped his nappy. Right.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's fine. Looking well groomed, smelling nice, a nice pair of boxer shorts or something. I like something a bit distinctive, like some fancy pants, a detail or a colour or something like that. Something that's going to make me notice. It's really tricky for a man. Women can wear all sorts of colours.
Tight pants.
Well, yeah, because
we want to see.
Yeah, you want to see.
Are you a size queen?
I wouldn't class myself as a size queen, no.
What do you class as a size queen?
Somebody that says they're a size queen, probably. For me, having a big one is nice if you know what you're doing with it. But there's a hell of a lot of people out there that just rest on their laurels of having a big penis.
And they don't learn how to...
They don't know how to do it. But if you're going to have sex with someone with a big penis, you have to be ready. So if they can't do the all the stuff beforehand, get you mentally prepared, physically prepared, you're not going to have a good time with them. You can't just go in there with a big willy and think that's the be all and end all. You have to be good at the sex.
I actually think a man with an intermediate penis is probably better.
Yeah.
Because they have honed the craft and put in the hard yards to learn and understand.
I like to settle with an above average. That's quite nice for me.
Slightly above average, but not
above average.
Too above average.
It depends on what they're doing with it.
So what about women? Do you like lingerie? Do you like seeing them in nothing, stockings, bikinis, corsets?
It's going to sound really cop-out. I like a corset, I do, because that's classic, isn't it? Like,
it's a bit hard to fuck in though.
They're really restricting. So I'd start the night. I try and put my most complicated outfits on at the beginning, because then after that's come off, I'd then change into something slightly more, slightly less complicated, until I'm in nothing at the end of it.
Do you like a role play and a costume? No, you're not into that.
No, I find it's a bit cringy for me. It's not a bit of me at all.
Not even a slight nod.
It's not my flavour.
It sounds like you're not into the performative and the fakeness of it.
Not really.
You like
I like the performance. But yeah, I find the whole role play is, you can get the very stereotypical nights like doctors and nurses, and another one that I find always a little bit near the knuckle was schoolgirls and school and teachers. That's one you don't see very much, because I think people don't really like that. But you go onto any sex shop, you're going to see schoolgirl uniform. So that's a bit of a weird one, that one.
You never see schoolboy uniform?
I've got teenagers now, and it's just not something for me.
Do they know, like, is it quite private from them, or is it something they kind of just know and don't know much about, or with the swinging and stuff?
Elaborate on that question.
when we're younger, we don't want to know our parents' sex life. No one does as a child. But then kind of you might hear something or find something in a drawer, or, you know, like, I think that's quite a universal of children finding it, even if it's just their husband and wife.
It's traumatised. Let's not lie. If you've ever heard your parents having sex, that's traumatising, isn't it? Let's be honest. That's the worst thing ever. So
there's only one. Well, no, there's nothing up from that.
No, there isn't. It's just the worst thing ever. Like, I acknowledge that you might do these things. I got here somehow. I don't want to ever hear that or know that you do these things. And I feel pretty much the same. Like, my sex life outside of my home and my husband, that's very, very different from my family life, and there is no crossover for me.
But I suppose there is something where, I guess, the teenagers and the learning about the world, I guess you're going to be more compassionate because you understand, you know, sex and relationships in a context of, it doesn't just have to be you find a man or you find a woman and you live with them happy ever after. You've got more nuance around the situation.
I mean, it's age appropriate conversations. My eldest child does know within reason, because, well, I had condoms in the house, and he knows that I'm sterilised and not using them with my husband, so he questioned why I might have them. I tried to get off with telling him that Josh just likes a posh wank and pin it on my husband. And I didn't get away with that. So I kind of had to have a conversation with him and say, look, you know, I don't want you to panic. However, you know, sometimes when myself and Josh, we go out, we like to be sexual with our friends, and it doesn't mean we don't love each other. It doesn't mean we're cheating on each other. It's just something we like to do for fun. And it's just that. It's as simple as that. It's
never a pleasant conversation, but it's better to nip it in the bud and just say it is what it is.
Yeah.
One day you might understand, one day you might do it, you might not.
I've always had a good relationship with my older children. So they know they can come to me. They know that they can speak to me about their sexuality or preferences or anything like that. So, but I'm still mum and they're still my kids. So there's always going to be that level there that I'm never going to openly share these things with them. But if they ask me the question, I'm going to be honest.
I do find it slightly hypocritical in the world that swingers get this rep of, oh, they're fruity with their pineapples, they're doing crazy things. Like, oh, you know, there was rumours of, no, I think they found like swingers on the set of British Bake Off. How dare the swingers get onto the British Bake Off set or whatever. Was it you?
It wasn't me, okay. No, but I actually read that story myself. You must have been researching recently.
But there's this idea of, there's us, the normal people, and then there's them. There's many people who feel that, right?
Yes, you know? Absolutely, yeah.
But the normal people, whether or not they're posh, they're not posh, they're wealthy, they're not wealthy, where they come from, they all get up to their own secret things.
Absolutely.
And I just don't like this idea of you guys over there, whether it's, you know, formerly a dancer or you're swinging, or, you know, you got this weird thing you like, you're weird, but we're normal because we lie in secret about the secret things we like.
You can say that, but you're cheating on your partners and you're doing things that you shouldn't be doing. But I'm doing those with my husband holding my hand and waving me away. How can we be villainized in the way that we're doing this in a open and ethical way versus the couples and the marriages where they're unhappy, where they're cheating on each other, where they're having emotional affairs? What I can never in any world understand why we would be less than somebody that chooses to do that, because people are going to cheat.
Well, look at the royal family, for example. Their Church of England, they've got an image to uphold. They have to kind of appeal to the masses that are out there, like the mainstream masses. We all know what's happened with Andrew this week.
Exactly.
He's been stripped of his titles. I don't think he's a fair, accurate representation of the whole royal family. I think that's just idiotic to say that. However, there's probably people in the royal family who use sex workers, love to go swinging.
Oh, absolutely.
They love to have a little butt plug up their ass and their male or whatever it is, but they feel that they have to keep this thing to themselves.
Yeah,
I just find it weird.
It still exists, it's just done in different circles.
But how weird that whenever someone is doing something that isn't the normal, that people judge them for. I just think it's so
I feel this is exactly how I feel. Like
they wouldn't pretend like their shit doesn't stink.
Yeah, exactly. I will happily go out there. I will put my face out there. I will be in articles. I will come and do things like this because it needs to be normalised, in my opinion. Where we are
culturally,
yeah, exactly. Where we are now, if nobody ever campaigned and spoke out for gay rights, that would be a secret thing. People would be doing that. People would be ashamed. Now, if I came to you and said, "Oh, you know, I'm bisexual," you wouldn't bat an eyelid.
No.
But if I said to you, if I met you in a different circumstance and said, "Oh, I'm a swinger," or "I do this," there's still that level of judgment. But until people come out and just speak about it, normal people that don't look like supermodels or don't look like an older generation, you kind of get two stereotypes for people what they expect swingers to be. It's either dirty old men or models off of TV, and I don't. Or
you have
like
to pay
that.
for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't look like that. I'm somebody that you're passing the street and you wouldn't know.
I disagree with you there. I'm going to challenge you because I think that I know myself, there's no one look to someone maybe being a bit more sexually deviant or having a different flavour or taste. I just think that's a case of being in a part of the world or raised in a situation where you have a wider conception and reality of that. You know, like, for example, like, we're not going to segue into the point too much, but like the immigration debate.
Okay.
For example, you know, it's very easy for someone who is in a little Scottish parish village where there's 300 people in the village to make one sweeping statement about immigration, which you don't see every day.
Yeah.
But then for someone who is probably in the Mecca of London, who sees something different, their reality is going to be more enriched and more enlightened and more kind of vast and whatnot. So I don't know if it's the status quo that assume, oh, well, you don't look like a model, you couldn't be a swinger, or, you know, oh, you are this and that, so you couldn't be a model in itself. I just think it's the situation of circumstances.
Swinging or any sort of non-monogamy, it's becoming more and more commonplace. You're seeing more articles
always been common
about it. It's more talked about.
Yeah.
You might be like, it might be that you know someone that does it, but you might not necessarily read about it or see it on the paper.
Do you think people enjoy the secrecy of it being a closed off thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that is a draw for a lot of people because it's taboo, isn't it? And what you get out of it is it's naughty and it's taboo and it's sexy and secret, and there's a lot of people that are very, very happy to keep it that way because that's how they want to be. There's a space for everybody. There's very strong, I think, unwritten rules about privacy and not exposing anyone to do it. I personally am happy to comfortably say that this is what I do, and I don't see any shame in that. I
mean, at work, does anyone ever comment on it or speak to you about it?
Not really.
Or nosy, like, whoa.
I mean, I've been in quite a few newspaper articles now, so where we live is quite a small area, so I think I often get a lot of sideways glances, and the school mums give me a kind of knowing looks. That
could be because, like, okay, Denise, when's my invite coming to the swinging?
It's not anytime soon.
She's selective.
Not anytime soon. No, I don't. I like to not play on my own doorstep.
Okay, but do you enjoy being maybe a bit more selective and just, you know, a smaller group? You know,
I like sharing experiences with different people,
different dynamics,
different backgrounds. I love the psychological side of why people are doing it, and I love people, I love sexuality, and I think you should be free to be able to express that, and I think there's something very bonding about it as well.
Do you like to be in charge?
Sometimes. Yeah, probably. This is an awkward one because I always get accused of being a bit of a dom, to be honest.
You're bossy boots.
I wouldn't say I'm bossy. I'm just I'm assertive in situations.
I personally don't really subscribe to the labels of you're a dom, I think everyone's a bit of everything, and it depends who you bump into. But I think people who have that type of energy, it's not a choice, it's just something they have.
Yes, absolutely.
Denise, when you walk into the room, you have it.
I think
people want it.
I don't know if they want that, but I do. I try and step away from it, but I do tend to draw people that are more into that energy. And I think what it is to be a confident woman. I'm quite confident. I'm quite outspoken. I know what I want. I know how that's going to happen, and I don't see any problem with that.
But isn't it funny how, let's just use the word as dominant, but the person who is quite comfortable being in charge, calling the shots, how interesting that, that person actually, when you press them on it, they're like, oh, I'm not really in charge. It's just who I am. I'm like this.
I think for me, it's an energy.
It's an energy.
It's absolutely an energy. You can't really shift it off.
But men who
even when I'm trying to.
But it's just part of you, isn't it? And then men who want to be dominant always have to labour the point that they're dominant. I'm an alpha. I'm dominant.
Absolutely, but that's just, to me, that's just laughable. I love that game. There's so many. Of course, if we were doing a kink episode, I could talk on this for a while. But I can't bear someone that comes in and self-labels themselves as a dom just because they like to play a little bit rough and they like to feel masculine and they like to feel like they're in charge. It's not something you label yourself with. I think whilst you can learn it if you educate yourself enough, I think you have to have. For me, it's an energy. It
chooses you.
Yeah, I like a confident person.
It's not even a sexual thing. It's like, let's say there's a group activity to do. It's like some people are red person.
Natural leadership.
Natural.
Yeah. Somebody's got to be in charge.
Like the red personality versus the blue versus the red and the green. Before we finish, I'm going to ask you one final question. What is the most memorable swinging experience you've ever had, bar the jelly one?
Oh, I really should have thought of this one. I don't know. I very much like it when myself and my husband we play off of each other quite well. We've got a very good connection, and I like it quite often. We recently had to play with two other women, and we kind of double dominated the situation. So we kind of took charge of both of them in a sort of sexual way. That was pretty good. I enjoyed that one, and that was a public place. So we had quite a lot of onlookers.
Where?
Publicly in a setting.
Okay.
In a swingers club, but you'll have public play areas. But then you have closed doors, so you can have a private room. You can go and shut the door, or you can have a room maybe that's people can look into but not come in.
Is it an expensive lifestyle?
Very much so.
Yeah,
it's an expensive hobby.
And do you come most of the time when you play?
Yes, I'm not. I'm fairly easily pleased. I'm lucky in the way that I know my own body and I know what I like, so I can, and I don't struggle to hold it back, so I can get there easily. I think I know if I'm going to be attracted to that person, if going into it I'm going to have a good result. Interesting.
Okay, final question. I usually plan these, but I'm going to make it off the top of my head today. There's the social... what is the true meaning of swinging?
Swinging for me is community. Take the sexuality out of that. It's a meeting of minds, common interests, people of all walks of life, and communication. And then you add in the sexual side to that. It's very much a space to belong.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Denise.
You're welcome.
Do you want to give any social shout outs? Or?
No, good. You have it on.
She does have an Instagram, and I'll link her.
We'll do that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.